Hey everybody, back with Big Friends for video post number 3. I didn't know, the second video post that I did was like 25 minutes, so I like went back and forth on whether or not I really needed to do a third, but I figured I might as well play it safe. Today I'm going to be discussing Nicholas Leonard's essay "Homage or Biting Lines," critically discussing authorship, creativity, and copyright in the 21st century through hip hop, which was published in the Arts Journal on November 22nd, 2018, so just a little over a year ago. This article was crucial to me developing my understanding of collaboration and authorship within the music industry today, and it definitely played a major role in shaping my discussion about it with Elle in the second podcast episode. One thing that I found like super beneficial about this essay is the ways in which Leonard engages with a lot of the big thinkers that we've been reading and discussing in this class and some of my other classes this semester. So seeing the way in which he made these links and connections really opened up my mind to a lot of different ways about thinking about this stuff. So Nicholas Leonard pretty much opens up the essay with a discussion about reproducibility, and he highlights the ways in which digital technologies make reproducibility in different artistic mediums much simpler than they used to be. And he discusses how we're able to basically co-opt a lot of different original works of art and then utilize them for our own means. Like he discusses this specifically through memes and YouTube videos and stuff like that, and explains that the fact we're able to engage in these kind of levels of pastiche has like major implications for authorship and authenticity in our current time. This really resonated with me and made me reflect on Walter Benjamin's concept of aura, and his argument that art loses authenticity through reproduction. So putting that into modern context, and thinking about the ways in which we are constantly archiving our experiences, and recreating and reproducing different forms of art and pop culture through stuff like meme sharing. Uh, I found that to be like really interesting to think about. The ways in which we're ever more reducing authenticity in art. Um, it's funny to ponder whether or not that's entirely accurate. I certainly do see value in pastiche. I think that The Simpsons is an excellent example of that. You know, I guess if you get into that discussion, you kind of like start to blur the lines between parody and pastiche, and I guess you can make an argument as The Simpsons being either and even both. But I do think pastiche has its merits. All this talk about pastiche, also, I just wanted to point out that um, this essay oftentimes made me think back to Jameson and his discussion of postmodernism's use of the pastiche. Jameson said that it was the cannibalization of all styles of the past. And a clever case study that Leonard uses to discuss the ways in which, predecessing art is co opted in these modern or more contemporary works of art, is his discussion of Two Live Crew and their lawsuit. They were sued by the estate of Roy Orbison because they claimed that Two Live Crew's song "Pretty Woman" was an example of plagiarism for Roy Orbison's song "Oh Pretty Woman," and the Supreme Court actually upheld that Two Live Crew's version was able to stand on its own, as a form of parody. Uh, and I guess, at least speaking from a legal standpoint, there's your argument, for pastiche and for remixing. Um, Leonard also discusses the ways in which the recorded song has changed from being a final product now to a raw material itself. And this is done through the practice of scratch and remix, which was originally presented during live performances by DJs and now is utilized by EDM and hip hop producers widely. The discussion of remixing I think is, like another, I would say, argument on the merits, or on behalf of the merits of, these kind of modern reworkings of like our understanding what creative art can be. I kind of personally enjoy the fact that in the postmodern sense, you kind of feel agency over these predecessing artworks, and you feel like you have the agency to utilize them however you see fit. um, I feel like to say that anyone owns something that was created by, like a dead person is kind of ridiculous, honestly. And I think that when we engage with these instances of remixing, we actually, we explore and make statements about the creative process itself and, the possibilities of creating art. um, Leonard discusses this debate pretty much as being between the copyright and the copyleft, and people in the copyright camp are those who uphold these more traditional understandings of, like copyright laws and ownership over art, and the copyleft more often, subscribes to the idea that, you can't really own art, and that these examples of pastiche and collage and remix are all valid art forms in and of themselves. Uh, Another interesting discussion that Leonard Leonard engages with in this essay is Fortnite, the video game Fortnite, and its controversy over the ways in which it was accused of plagiarizing dance moves. He raises this discussion of whether or not choreography can be copyrighted, and thanks to my podcast with Elle, who has, extensive background in musical theater production, they were able to explain that yes, in fact, choreography can definitely be copyrighted and is copyrighted. These large scale Broadway productions, the choreography that you see in those shows is definitely, um, you know, some form of property, and has like legal ramifications behind it. But the difference between what people were alleging in the Fortnite instance, they were discussing these kind of singular moves. The one that came to mind then and now was Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel Air. I feel really bad that I don't remember the actor's name. I used to know that. But anyway, Carlton, the actor who plays Carlton, not Carlton, he argues that Fortnite stole his dance move and that he should be compensated in some way for that. And here's where the problem lies: it's that you really can't copyright one singular dance move. Imagine if somebody, had done that for the robot or the sprinkler. I mean, what would white people even do at weddings? Um, he also gets into a conversation regarding read only culture versus read write culture. And read write culture describes those who engage, with art in digital spaces, and then create in response or reaction, or in homage to that art that they're consuming. So, something that we talk about in the podcast is these fandom communities that are created, in social media platforms for different bands. And because we have this digital technology in our pocket all day, it's a lot easier for us to find the things that we love and the other people who love them. So what we do is we join these groups, and we engage in conversations about the band. We share memes specific to the band, and content of live video, let's say, or something like that that we might happen upon. Or a lot of times you'll see people posting pictures of all their old concert tickets, and it's like amazing actually to see sometimes, like, what some of these huge bands would sell tickets for before they made it. But anyway, uh, that would be one example of a read write culture where you're taking the art, you're consuming it, and then you're engaging with it further in some way. Whereas read only culture is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Those people who are just merely consuming the the art and enjoying it for what it is. Okay, I'm going to call that a wrap. Thanks, guys. It's been a wonderful semester. Big friend, we out. See you.